Hello, hello, YouTube family. This is your girl, Dare to Be Rare. I know what you're thinking. Yes, I do have on a little hat today. No makeup. This is my day off, but it's really not my day off. As you all remember, if you watched my last video, when I talked about being a caregiver, yes, I am a caregiver to my mom and my husband. They both suffered from major strokes. One was a bleed, one was a blood clot. I have been learning so much about strokes, the effects of strokes, and I tell you, sometimes you don't run into stuff until it happens, because if it's kind of like not on your mind, you don't have a reason, and even though I had heard about, the signs of stroke, and they tell you to look at the face, if the person can, if they can smile, if they can raise their arms. There are different signs that you look for if you think a person is having a stroke. Now, one thing I did learn when my husband had his stroke, now that I realize, I believe he had one before we actually realized that he was having this major stroke, that I learned the importance of the person doesn't have to have all the signs. If they have any sign, they might be able to lift their arms, but their speech might be slurred. It might be different things. And it might be a combination, or it might just be one thing. And if they have that one thing, you need to try to get the person to the hospital. Another thing I also learned is sometimes they just don't want to go to the hospital because they don't believe that they're having a stroke. And this was the difficulty in my situation, because my husband did not want to go to the hospital. He was like, "No, I am fine. I'll be all right. Just take me home." And I know people say, "Well, you should have made him go. You should have took him. You should have drove him." I could have driven him all the way to the hospital. And if he refused to get out the car, there's nothing you can do. If a person refused treatment and they are, when I say coherent, they know what they're doing, they know what they're saying, by law, you cannot treat that person. They cannot do anything. You cannot go against that person's will. And that is a valuable lesson that I had to learn, that he just did not want to go. Now, I'm trying to come to you all the best way I can, because I have committed to making a video. I don't care if my hair is not done. Now remember, I'm 60 years old and I'm a caregiver. I'm caring for a 75-year-old woman, which is my mother, who's about to turn 76 on November the 11th. Yes, she's a veteran baby, but my mom has partial paralysis. Her bleed was on the left side, so it paralyzed her right side. So she doesn't have use of her right arm or her right leg. I literally have to, when I have to take her to the doctor, I have to actually lift that leg for her, because she can drag it, but she can't really lift it. And then my husband, who is now 63, he suffered a stroke, and I'm caring for him, bathing him. He can feed himself to a certain degree, but the right arm has partial paralysis. The left arm, which was the arm that he could fully use, he can't really use it that much now, because he started having seizures, and now arthritis has gotten into that arm. So I'm going to have him take him to see an orthopedic doctor. So I'm just letting y'all know that I am up here to enjoy myself, to talk to you, to share with other caregivers, to let you know that even through all of this, we are still lifing. We are still living. We are not just existing. At one point, I was like, oh my God, what if I never get my husband back the way that he used to be? What if he never talks again? And I know you hate to have to think about those things the same way we hate to think about death and preparing for a funeral, but we all know that one day we're going to pass away. I mean, we're going to transition from this flesh into back to fully being in spirit. And so I had to talk to myself and say, Jackie, it is what it is. And I know sometimes that very statement can sound like you don't care, but that's not caring. That's accepting that the milk is spilled. It fell out of the glass. You done wiped up what you can wipe up. What's left in the glass is in the glass. And if you still got some milk left in the refrigerator, you can add some more to the glass. And you just move on and you drink the cold milk and you let the little milk mustache get on you and you enjoy it and you take one day at a time. And this is what I want to say to all the caregivers out there, whether you're young, whether you're old. We have to find joy in just caring for our loved ones. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's hard. I'm saying it is. There are days when I feel like I just want to cry because I must say it feels different with my husband having a stroke than with my mom, because my husband is my partner, the one that you go on the vacations with, the one that you talk and you laugh with, the one that when you have situations that happen at work, you come home and you talk to them about it. You know, we met when I was 12 years old and now I'm 60. And we got married. We've been through so many things. And he was such a person that he enjoyed the simple things in life, right? And I'm not talking to you as though he has passed away, because we know that at any moment this reality can change, because there's so many realities that we can choose from. So I could wake up tomorrow and he could be walking and he could be talking. We just don't know, right? But do I focus on that? I just accept things as they are. I love him. I care for him. I bathe him. I do whatever I can to make him comfortable. I talk to him just like nothing is wrong. I pick with him. I say, you better come on, get up and do these dishes, because he used to always he used to do the dishes. Now, I'm a dishwasher person, but my husband, he will fill the sink up full of water, had the dishes in there, and he would, just do the dishes. And it's those little things that person does or did that you kind of miss. And those are things that you think about and they actually bring you joy and they help you to cope. Even though, let me tell y'all, before he had the stroke, the little things that he did, I could have been more appreciative. You know how you want them to, they wash the dishes, but then you saying, well, can you wipe off the counter? Well, if they wipe the counter off, can you sweep the floor? If they sweep the floor, can you take the trash out? We just get in this mode of, it's just never enough. And then you realize when the person cannot do what they would normally be doing, then you really realize what they were doing did matter. And so I just want to say again, caregivers, be strong. It's not easy, but it has to be done. And believe me, now when I say it has to be done, we all know we got choices, right? I could very well say, I can't handle it. I'm going to put my husband in a nursing home, but I just can't do it. And guess what? I'm not putting the people down that has done it, that may have to do it because everybody's situation is different. So I'm not here to make anybody feel guilty because it's not a badge of honor. Oh, I will never put my husband in a nursing home. How could you put your husband or your mother in a nursing home? No, this is not a judgment thing because I don't know what life is going to bring ahead of me. Even though we say, I know past, future, the now. I don't know what my new now might bring me. I don't know what situation might come up. But I'm just saying for now, right this moment, and the way I feel, I could not put him in a nursing home. And let me tell you, when I found out, now I don't know where you at, but in North Carolina, the part I'm in, a nursing home for the level of care that my husband would need is between $7,000 and $10,000 a month. Yes, yeah, you heard that right. $7,000 to $10,000 a month. Now, I would have to have a whole bunch of YouTube videos to go triple viral in order to be able to pay for that monthly cost. You know what I'm saying? And then, I'm not blaming the nursing homes, but let me tell you, they just don't have enough time and enough people to care for the people that are in the nursing homes. Now, even the hospital, when my husband was in the hospital, which I had not visit anybody, didn't have anybody in the hospital, hadn't to stay in the hospital in so many years that I didn't even realize that now, everything is separate. You have the person that comes in and they're the care person. They're the person that gives the person the bath and change the sheets. And then you have the nurse, and then you have the person that comes in and take his blood pressure and give him his medicine. Everybody do separate jobs. But the care people, I think I'm saying that right. The person that comes around and bathes the person and does all of that, they have a certain amount of people that they have to do that for every day. And let me tell you, if that person, like my husband was when he had his stroke, he could not do anything. They had a tube going down his throat feeding him. At first, the tube was down his throat, and then they took it out of his mouth because his mouth was hanging open, and they took it out of his mouth and they put it through his nose. They just started feeding him through his nose. So he was basically just laying there. And they had a catheter on him where it's like a leg bag where you attach to the private part, and there's a tube coming from that, and then that goes down into a bag that's on the side of the bed. And so that's where the urine would go. Then they had a pad under him that he would poop on or whatever, and then somebody, the care person, come in and they, clean him up and change that. Now, my husband is about 200 pounds, which is not big and is not small, but let me tell you, they were not able to clean him properly because, first of all, he could not move, right? He couldn't move his leg. He couldn't move anything because his brain had basically swollen. He couldn't talk. He wasn't fully conscious. And they would come in and wipe him, and I would go to the hospital every day, and basically I would have to bathe him. I would have to get under there and bathe him, clean him like he's supposed to be cleaned, right? And I'm not upset with anybody. I do realize that this is what I learned about the hospital system. They know more, but we care more. We care because they're our loved ones. So they have to do a certain thing because of their job. Now, I'm not saying they don't care, because I believe you have to have a certain level of care to even get in that field. But some people do things for money, just like some people open up a daycare, not because they love kids, but because they know you can make a lot of money doing daycare, right? And that's why kids end up getting abused and all that stuff, because you have people who really don't love kids. Now, I'm not saying that kids can't get on your nerves, and sometimes, because I've had 3 kids myself, and sometimes you felt like you wanted to knock them side the head, but that love was there, and I didn't knock them side the head, because there's a thin line between abuse and discipline. So we got to watch those lines. So this is what I'm telling you as far as the care in the hospital. I'm not going to say they don't care, but they wasn't wiping his behind like they would wipe their own. And I'm going to leave that right there. So that's a story for another day, because something happened in the hospital with my husband. I'm going to go ahead and explain this so that when I come back with the next video, you'll understand what I'm saying. My husband was in the hospital. He could not use the bathroom. And from the brain controls so many things. It controls your ability to be able to know that you have to use the bathroom. It controls your speech, your talking, being able to form words. So many things are the body is controlled by that brain, right? The functioning of the brain. So they put a catheter, and I could be saying it wrong, and please don't correct me, because it don't matter. You know what I'm talking about. So the catheter it looks like a condom. You know how a condom looks. So that condom goes up on the private part, and a tube is hooked in. It has a little opening, and a tube goes in the end of the condom, and then that other end of the tube hooks down into a bag, and that bag collects the urine. Well, if think about a rubber band being around your finger that's too tight, right? So I want to leave you with that thought. You have uh, something that's shaped like a condom on your male private part that's not the size that it's supposed to be. What do you think gonna happen? What you think will happen if you wrap a rubber band around your finger that's too tight? Put a pair of socks on your leg, and that top part of that sock is too tight for your leg. Eventually, you're gonna lose some circulation. But that's a story for another day. But anyway, I just wanted to come up here because I've made a commitment to myself to put out some content. I'm just learning. I'm new. This is bigger than me. This is about trying something different. I'm in my retirement years. I got something to say about that, because I need to retire. But financially, am I ready? Mentally, emotionally, am I ready? Am I ready to take that step? But that's something that we'll talk about in another video, or that I'll talk about and you'll listen. And if you want to put some in the comments, then we can talk about it. But even if you don't talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. So I just wanted to say I appreciate you for listening. If you held on and stayed to the end of my video, my name is Jackie, and I dare you to be rare. Have a wonderful day.